The guides will often demonstrate the removal of tap lines in very apparent ways, like how Rebazar once blew up a building in my dream, which was a demonstration of the destruction of an idea I finally let go of. One of the agreed upon ideas in creation is that of time, and this can only be experienced as the linear phenomena that it is, if we are fully immersed in our literal personal selves, our minds being serial processors, where they convert all that they perceive into a linear sequence that makes sense to itself. But considering the mind can only take a fraction of information into itself through the limited senses, out of the vastness of what is available, even on the physical level alone, one can see how this is a very limited means of experiencing. When you stand real with the is, you are in the nowness of it, where everything is, and you are beyond the time construct, which is a feature and idea of the psych realms only. Anything in the past is simply experiences that we have arranged in a sequence that for our literal minds happened seemingly behind us. Old experiences are fine as references, as long as we don't cling to them and carry them around like old books. And future considerations should not concern us, lest we move our focus from the nowness and engage with these mental ideas, for the past, present, and future are ideas. Effectively, we should seek to simply be and see, to deal with every experience as we come across it for what it is, an opportunity for awareness. We must be cautious when we hear the likes of Eckhart Tolle speaking of being in the moment, for we must always consider what the individual's intent is and what they are referencing. If the individual has no awareness of the is, and his intent in regards to providing is referencing material, and thus awareness enhancing knowledge is absent, then the nowness the individual speaks of is the present, that is in creation only. So Eckhart Tolle would be referring to the present that is embodied within the time idea of past and future, and this is not the now that is referred to when one stands real with the is, and in a position beyond creation and beyond the past, present, and future ideas that stem from it. The passage of time idea, situations individual and collectively that unfold, are simply due to the nature of creation. Everything in creation is cause and effect. Every idea that is mental and emotionally based, decisions, choices, and desires are primed causes that result in effects that must be experienced. And they are either experienced in this lifetime, or they will be experienced in future lifetimes. Either way, if we set causes in motion, we must experience the effects. And it is this that seems to be, to the literal self, the passage of time, and there are actual individuals referred to as the time makers, who have the keeping of this phenomena, and can affect it as they see fit, or as the Callum God decrees, and they are speeding time up also. This is the quickening that many are making mention of, and this is the result of the human race being made to operate at a faster and more frantic pace, and thus, if one is churning out causes at an increasing volume and magnitude, then the effects will be in equal measure. The effects will be bombarding us with increased frequency and volume also, and so we experience what seems to be everything accelerating in a mad turbo fast-forward manner. Effectively, then, we create our own time. When we create an idea, a thought, or emotion, we have an effect we must experience, and our literal minds place these events in a sequence that appear to be a passage of time to its limited self. And then we fall prey to the time makers, for if we are constantly churning out cause and effect ideas, then we are trapping ourselves in time sequences of our own devising that can be manipulated, and with added programming thrown in, with all the agreements and restriction added to the mix, we surely are in quite the pickle. But then, through awareness, we can supersede the effects of the Callum, the influence, and we can have the tap lining agreed upon restricting ideas removed. And with our focus on awareness and standing real, being in the Nunowness of the is, we are beyond the idea of time. We no longer are subject to its trap, and cannot then be affected by the manipulation of the time makers, as we are no longer agreeing and immersed in the process. We are still in creation, however, and we will always be creating something, and so we will be activating the cause and effect principle. But if we are sincere, if what we are creating is in fact a benefit to ourselves and others in regards to referencing the is and assisting others to recognize this true reality. If we have recognized our real intent and are pure with it, then there is no more karma, no more cause and effect for those that do this. So effectively, we potentially can be in creation, but the limitations and cause and effect nature of the simulation has no bearing. We are beyond time or cause and effect, and need not be concerned with such, assuming we remain sincere, and our intents fixed, and we support the ears with our focus. We become more and more aware until we are no longer the effects of our unawareness. So all the phenomena, including time, all based on ideas that someone once decided upon, will keep us restricted in creation if we agree to them. If we do not agree to them, we are beyond them, and theoretically we could then time travel within creation. I'd err on the side of caution, however. There's a reason the controllers put a lot of time-travelling movies on our screens, such as Doctor Who. The same reason they have plenty of magic-orientated movies, to encourage us to dabble in this phenomena, which will only seek to take our focus from our awareness, and then we will be subject to cause and effect once again. For that's something they never reveal in the movies. These magicians, wizards, and time-travellers seem to have a great whale of a time, but we never see the cause and effect ramifications that wait around the corner. I suppose if one were to be outside of time and be able to dip in and out of any time stream they desired, as long as it was for a beneficial reason, that of assisting with either the individual's awareness or that of others, then it would be acceptable. Dwayne went on a whole series of missions in New Book 7, where he went to various pivotal points in history of the Earth and other planets in an effort to dissuade certain individuals from going along the decided upon route that would add to the dire situations the Earth now finds itself in. Seems the controllers and Dark Force aliens have time-travelling capability too, more technological than through awareness, and who knows what they are trying to exact with their dabblings. Evidence of their activities can be glimpsed with some of the experiments we have come to learn of. The Philadelphia experiment, as an example, where they attempted to use stealth technologies, but instead they sent the ship accidentally through time, with all manner of unexpected side effects. It stands to reason that if one is standing real with the is, then everything is now, and everything available simultaneously. So you can see how in that position, what more could you possibly think you might need? But in a state of real awareness, and in the nowness, while still operating vehicles in creation outside of the time idea, you could pop in and out of whatever time frame you chose, especially on the real side when sleeping. I had a dream experience where I started in a room with a friend, and the situation was rather dull, and then I seemed to shimmer and fade away, and I rematerialized in a large conference area with the same friend. My awareness knew that I had jumped back in time, and everyone in the new environment, including my friend from the initial scene, hadn't realized this to be, as I'd simply assumed the vehicle from another time frame. I hadn't just materialized in the room to everyone's amazement. So I had placed my focus, it would seem, in a position from a prior time frame, but entering with my awareness, I knew this was the case. Without awareness, beyond the vehicles of creation, I'd have simply occupied the vehicle wherever it was in time, and taken on the memories and causal references it had assumed up until that point, and beyond that had given no consideration. But assuming this prior position from a state of awareness beyond the confines of the memory and mental vehicles, I immediately enquired as to the date, everyone a little perplexed as to my request. It transpired that I was in 2013, and seemed I did rather a good job of convincing everybody that I had time travelled within my dream on the real side. I must have been effective in connecting with them being to being. If I had not, their personal little selves would have scoffed at my claims. They naturally were asking me about the future. True, it was only 6 years beyond where we are now, but nevertheless I indulged them, and we had fun deliberating over my information. And no, they had a great deal of trouble accepting that Donald Trump would be the President of the United States in 2016. Afterwards, my friend and I seemed to spend the rest of the dream being chased by various monsters and creatures, possibly agents of the dark forces, who possibly were a bit disgruntled at my time-travelling activities. My friend acquitted himself admirably, and together we dealt with our attackers. This is, in fact, the friend I have made mention of, who seems to have no interest in the ears, despite him having to resign himself to listening to it if he is in my vicinity. And up until now, on the real side, his interest seems equally lacking. None of the vehicle versions of him seem particularly taken by it, until this experience. So I'll end with this, as I think it is a fine example of how even those who are most belligerently opposed to the new presentation and that which it references may eventually begin to accept it. So never assume that your efforts are pointless, that your sharings fall on deaf ears, because everyone has a real self in the real universes with the ears, and if the created personal selves accept it or not, that is their actual purpose here, whether they realize this or not. This is their real intent. Their real selves will always be there, and ready to assist the personal self to connect with it, as are the guides, walking amongst us unseen, seeking viable candidates who show enough risk-taking courage to be presented with the opportunity. So all we can do is keep presenting, keep sharing, and someday people who snubbed their noses at it may cease snubbing their noses and want to know more.